this is a role that I've put together for Charlotte. She's a student. She's just started working with me, and it's applicable to anybody who's left school, gone to college in the UK or whatever you do in the United States or anywhere else, and it's for the 16 to 18-year-olds who've just come out of school and want to get involved in cybersecurity or tech or whatever. And it's just 10 nuggets of stuff broken down into sub things, and it's free advice for you because it comes from a veteran of the industry. So just take this on board, and if you do, you'll be well served by it. So the first is to immerse yourself in cybersecurity culture, in the hacker and cybersecurity culture. The second is to read voraciously, and that includes reading about the history of hacking and cybersecurity. Read about hackers and freakers like Kevin Mitnick and Captain Crunch and other historical figures from the past. And the second thing on my list in read voraciously is to read about the history of hacking. We just mentioned that, but I'll go into it in a little bit more detail. Read about the Model Railway Club at MIT. Read about the Hacker's Dictionary, or just read the Hacker's Dictionary by Eric Raymond. He goes into loads of stuff about free software and open source software, which is where a lot of the coding that goes into hacking takes place. Old editions of Frack, it's a magazine. Old editions of Alt 2600, it's a magazine. And understand the significance of the number 2600. And if you can do that and come back to me and tell me what that is, you're on the way to doing good things. Read The Cuckoo's Egg by Clifford Stoll, because it was an early piece of work about cybersecurity. It's a really good read. Read Computer Networks by Andrew Tannenbaum. It's the reference work on computer networking. Once you understand computer networking from Tannenbaum's point of view, you're really on the way. It's about this thick though, so you've got to really get into it. You've got to immerse yourself in it, and don't use it as a reference book. Read it from cover to cover. The next thing is to read cyberpunk novels like Neuromancer by William Gibson and Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, because they're all about cybersecurity, but they were written back in the day, way back. But they're talking about things that are happening right now. With Meta, the metaverse, that thingy, what do you call them? Thingy from Facebook, Zuckerberg is doing right now. It's there, but it was written a long time ago, and it's far more advanced than anything Zuckerberg could come up with. Anyway, let's move on. Read about hacking, because to catch a hacker is to think like one. So you have to learn to think like a hacker. You have to learn to think like a programmer. You have to be able to problem solve. You have to be able to do logic. So learn about those things. My next big thing in the category list is to install Linux, learn Linux basics, learn about shell scripting in Bash or Z shell, and continue with your Python learning. Learn about Python, because it's a really cool general purpose scripting language that will take you places, especially at the moment because it's very popular. Learn C. C goes back to the 70s. Back to the late 60s, I don't know. No, 70s. Okay, it's 70s. But learn to code in C. Or if you want to, skip straight to C++, but it's where it's happening. It always has, and loads of tools are written in C. Learn the tools in Kali Linux. So get a spare machine, or cobble one together, or get one from me, but either way, install Kali Linux on it and learn the tools of Kali Linux. Learn the basics of Kali, and that's a great way to learn about all the different aspects of hacking and cybersecurity. My fourth thing on the list is to seek out hacker forums and join cybersecurity lists and groups like the Hacker Network and all of the other places that you might find information, and just read the stuff that they send through to you every day. Subscribe to those groups, get on them, and just read. 5 is to hack. Just do some ethical hacking on Hack the Box or Offensive Securities Platform, whatever that's called, and just learn continuously. Learn from the people around you. Stay up to date. That's number 6. Stay up to date, read, subscribe to groups, find like-minded people of your generation in your community that you can hang out with, and just soak up everything. Learn from each other, and just get on and do stuff with the knowledge that you get from that. So number 7 is to learn to problem solve, and really this should have been higher up the list, but learning to problem solve is really important. Fix stuff. If it's old electronics, like old DVD players or whatever, take them apart and put them back together again. And if someone says, can you fix something, the answer is always yes, because that's the way I do it. I say, yeah, I can fix that, and then I worry about the consequences later, and there's nothing wrong with that, because everything is fixable. Yeah, it's just a question of how much time it'll take and how much money it'll cost. Number 8, get into futurism, because futurism is a great thing. It'll tell you what's going to happen. Fiction. Fiction becomes fact in 20 years from now. So back in the day, back in the 70s, yes, I am that old, back in the 70s, Star Trek was on the television for the first time, and they had doors that opened automatically when you walked towards them. Wow, none of that really existed at the time. They had communicators where you went flip, hello, and and then mobile phones were born, some years later. And so watching sci-fi and reading sci-fi will all give you a good indication of what's going to happen down the line, okay? So do that. Get into futurism. And have fun. If it's not fun, don't do it. If you're not interested in this, don't do it. Find something else to do. That's fine. Leave it to other people to do this. But if you're into it, and I know you are, if you're into it, get into it in a big way. Immerse yourself in the whole thing, right? Because that's the only way to do it. If it's not the be-all and end-all of your life by the end of this year, then, you're wasting your time. Just get on, do your thing, enjoy what you're doing, and just have fun. And the last thing is just to be creative. Think a lot and use creative thinking, because it's not all about logic. Logic's important, but creativity is just as important. So if you look at all the great hackers like Richard Stallman, Eric Raymond, they all have things that they do outside of what they do in the tech world. Eric Raymond, he Morris dances, and he paints and he sculpts and things. Richard Stallman, what does he do? He Morris dances. No, he plays various musical instruments from around the world, and he's taught himself to do that in a creative way. And so you've got to use creativity, find other things to do outside, and it will inform you, it will help you to do what you're doing. Yeah? So it's not all about the tech. It's not all about learning how to count in binary. Oh, yeah, you could do that. Learn to count in binary if you haven't already. Learn to count in hex, and it'll inform everything that you do. Cool. Just do that. Do all that stuff, and then come back to me. I'll give you 10 more nuggets of wisdom from the veteran. Let's see where I am. I just need to close this off. And so just, enjoy, have fun, and do all that stuff, and we'll be grand. Talk to you next week. Bye.